It's November 21st, 2023, fourth week in November. It's almost over. Good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching from. It's Business Morning, coming to you live from Channels HQ right here in Lagos. Let's get to the top stories that set your agenda now. We see the Naira further appreciated against the dollar yesterday, closing at 750 Naira. 14 kobo to the dollar at the official market. The Naira's recent gains come as relief to many financial analysts who had expected the Central Bank of Nigeria's recent move to clear some of its FX backlog to boost confidence in the currency. We see right there the domestic currency appreciated 5.55% to close at 750 Naira to the dollar as the close of business yesterday. The intraday high recorded was 1,121 Naira to the dollar, while the intraday low was at 740 Naira 8 kobo to the dollar, representing a wide spread of about 380 Naira 92 kobo to the dollar. Let's get a check on the oil market now. See, oil futures fell today, reversing steep gains made in the past two sessions as investors turned cautious ahead of a meeting of OPEC Plus this Sunday, when the producer group may discuss deepening supply cuts due to slowing global growth. Brent crude futures fell about 51 cents to $81.81 a barrel, while US WTI crude, that was trading at $77.32 a barrel, down 51 cents. Both contracts climbed about 2% yesterday after three OPEC sources told Reuters that the group, made up of Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, was set to consider whether to make additional oil supply cuts when it meets on November 26th. To the grains market now, Chicago soybeans gained more ground today with prices underpinned by hot weather in top exporter Brazil, which is likely to stress the newly planted crop despite some rains over the weekend. Wheat rose, recouping some of the last session's losses, although the improved condition of the U.S. winter crop limited the gains. Corn edged lower. The most active soybean contract on the Chicago Board of Trade added about 0.6%. To $13.75 for a quarter of a bushel. An early trade having climbed more than 2% in the previous session, while wheat that rose by 0.7% to $5.74 for three-quarter of a bushel, and corn lost 0.1% to $4.69 for a quarter of a bushel. And the management of Unity Bank, sponsor of the NYSC Co-preneurship Program, has promised to make the initiative nationwide through a gradual and phased incremental expansion process. In partnership with the NYSC Skill Acquisition Program, the bank plans to sustain the program into the foreseeable future to empower more fresh graduates to become employers of labor after producing 58 winners so far. At the 12th edition of the program, which held in Akwa Ibom State Orientation Camp, the banks presented monetary and other prizes to the winners. Take a listen.
Round up by encouraging us.
In 2019, Unity Bank unveiled what it called the Co-preneurship Program, a scheme which aims at providing entrepreneurial development training to service corps members in different orientation camps in the country. With the initiative, the bank trains corps members in different skills like fashion, software solution, fish production, makeup, shoemaking, farming, catering, and more.
If you want to be ahead, use your head.
After the training, participants pitch their business ideas, which are tested on originality, marketability, future employability, sustainability, and knowledge of the business. The Akwa Ibom State Orientation Camp is the beneficiary of the 2023 edition of the program.
This is our own contribution at Unity Bank to entrepreneurial development among youth. There has been a whole lot of exodus of this youth, and over the past 3 years, we just thought, okay, let's start, a process by which we can empower them so that they can in turn contribute their own, part to economic prosperity. And that's why we have the the co-preneurship, challenge.
The management of the National Youth Service Corps commends this effort and asks for more.
Unity Bank has been a very, very dependable, reliable partner of the NYSC. This is not the first time they have come here to empower these young ones. And I just want to plead with Unity Bank, and indeed other banks and other financial houses, to come to empower these young ones.
3 overall winners emerged, with each going home with cash prizes among other support.
I've always wanted to make my mommy proud, and she's the one that coached me in this business, and I don't know, I just feel so overwhelmed, and I thank God for everything. I really thank God for everything.
I've been looking forward to this day. I've been working hard for it, and finally today came and I did well. And this is the evidence that I did well.
Unity Bank, which boasts of seeing the benefit of its over 80 million naira investment over the years, plans to take it across the country.
Well, today was supposed to be decision day for the central bank's monetary policy meeting, which was supposed to be the first for the Cardoso leadership, but this has been postponed without official clarification from the CBN. Let's find out the expected impact of this. Joining us now is Mr. Paul Alaje, senior economist, SPN Professionals, joining us from our Abuja studio. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. So this is the second time since Governor Olaime's Cardoso's nomination in September that the MPC meeting is being postponed. What is your take on this latest postponement? It's just a rate-setting meeting, I guess. Nothing serious, right?
Well, I think Monetary Policy Committee meeting goes beyond just a usual meeting. It's a very important meeting. It was missed the first time on the leadership of Central Bank. Now it's also being postponed. In case we forget, it's important for us to know why we have Monetary Policy Committee. The Central Bank have some mandate, 5 to be specific, part of which, 2 of which has to do with stability. That is their job to maintain the reserves of the nation, which will help for FX confidence and, most importantly, FX stability. Another one that is so very important is price stability. When you look at what is happening to inflation at 27.33%, the highest in recent history, it is the central bank that has that mandate to ensure we have stable inflation and stable exchange rate. As I talk to you today, exchange rate has refused to be stable, and inflation is also galloping. If you have 27 as against the target of central bank, but between 6 to 9%. So why do we then need to have Monetary Policy Committee? It is the job of Monetary Policy Committee to ensure that in case where inflation is increasing, they use monetary policy tool, which includes monetary policy rate, liquidity ratio, and cash reserve requirement to control the behavior of inflation. They can also use necessary tools to help Nigeria exchange rate to become relatively stable. Because if you don't have this stability, confidence will disappear, and more importantly, productivity may be low. If you check what is reported from LCCI this morning, you see that LCCI is saying manufacturing sector is getting squeezed or is having challenges because of high inflation. Therefore, the role of that committee in providing guide for the progress of our nation and our economy cannot be overemphasized. It's not a good point that meeting is not holding again. Market would also respond to decision made by the Monetary Policy Committee. At best, what we can say is that we have allowed a free-for-all to happen without having that referee, that role that the central bank will perform to ensure that in cases where rates are going above board, we are able to control it. We also need to know what are banks charging today in terms of interest rate, because they benchmark it on whatever the rate the central bank will give, among other rates that affect what, of course, the banking sector is charging. So I don't think that not holding the meeting is good. I think it's not good. I think it may cause negative. And I think market may also need to react to that. Imagine the president has been going to different countries I think he's currently in Germany. He has traveled to Saudi. He has gone to the UAE. He has gone to India. He's been traveling. And if you check the summary of the trips of Mr. President, is to attract foreign investors to Nigeria. So you can say that fiscal, because the president, in a way, you may want to add him to fiscal authority. Now, how do you bring investment into Nigeria? When those that want to invest, we read report about our country to check what is our MPR saying? What is our liquidity ratio saying? How are we able to control inflation? Inflation at 27.33%. What is the effort of those who have the mandate to bring stability in terms of pricing, which of course our Monetary Policy Committee play very significant position in making that happen. Unfortunately, we have another golden chance, but rather than putting the ball in the net, like so many great players around the world, we decide to play an own goal.
Right, and since we didn't have the meeting not holding at this point, I guess we can say we've held our holding rates at this point. But we've seen the CBN, talk about the recent moves they've made in the markets recently, and they said it's been yielding some, positive sentiment in the markets. Looking at the inflation number, not as hot as expected. What do you think?
Well, inflation that is expected by central bank is 6 to 9%. Anything beyond 9% is worse. Double-digit inflation. And I'm not saying Nigeria is the only country experiencing that. No. That everybody is being beheaded does not mean our head should go away. Our job as monetary policy committee members or our job as monetary authorities is to ensure we do everything within our powers to control inflation. When you say the market is sending positive signals, we ask for most of the companies that have even declared profits. You have seen banking sector declaring profits. Convert the profit they made in dollar terms to what they made last year. You see that a number of them actually made losses. So we need to look at money in the real term, make provision for inflation in what we claim is made by some of these financial institutions and non-financial institutions. It is negative. We must understand that it's important for us to put together everything that we make this economy work. And one of those things remain having that monetary policy committee give us an overview of the economy. There are information that monetary policy committee members may have that is not available to the economy. What should we be doing? How should monetary authority be communicating with fiscal authority? Which sector should we be looking at in terms of investment? Who are those that must come to Nigeria to invest? What is the result? Are we now still giving ways and means to the executive the way that was done in the last dispensation? Do we have control? What is central bank doing this moment today? What kind of interest should we be expecting? What is the future expectation in terms of inflation? These are things that we are mute about, and when we close our mouth, perhaps we might be closing our destiny too.
Right, but how do you see investors reacting to the recent postponement of this meeting? Do you see any short-term sharp reaction?
The answer is simple. Have we been receiving investors into Nigeria as expected? Even the easiest one that we have had over the years, portfolio investment, have we been receiving them? Except and unless there are more vital information that we don't have, which of course I'm trying to play the devil's advocate here, central bank may have, then it's important for that communication to go to stakeholders, especially economic watchers, economists around the country, because there is a hot debate that is ongoing among economists and analysts of the economy in Nigeria today, whether these meetings are essential or not. But of course, I belong to those that state that this meeting is so important, and if we don't, the truth is that it will have tremendous negative impact on us, and it's already having on the market, it's already having on a potential investor in the country. So this meeting is essential, it's sacrosanct, and we must have it. If the committees to have this meeting, for instance, those that are supposed to be part of the central bank board, which of course have not been considered by Mr. President, it's important Mr. Cardoso send a memo to the President of the Republic, President Tinubu, to also explain the import of not having this board constituted. And especially those who are economists is what I'm hoping that will be members of MPC, those that were appointed by FEC, and also those that will be those that will be non-executive director in the central bank. Because what we need now is this economy to work. If it does not, confidence will disappear, and it only takes the short term after disappearance of confidence for performance, or more, put it differently, productivity of our nation to nosedive. As of now, we're already projecting less than 3% GDP growth rate for Nigeria. Not that we don't want Nigeria to be productive, but we are saying that in the reality of economic performance, in the reality of inflation, sustaining double digit over 20% rate for a long time in recent history is important that we discuss, we constitute the committee, and we also allow that committee to meet. And I'm hopeful that the central bank governor, perhaps after this interview, among other ones, will reconsider and perhaps have that meeting before the end of the year. The president is expected to present his budget, and there are parameters that will be made, including inflation and so on and so forth, after perhaps the Senate has approved the medium-term expenditure framework. The question will be, who will be the person guiding our economy, especially from monetary angle, so that it does not fall into the dish of recession, it does not fall into the dish of backwardness, because if you don't have a guide, economy will be blind and it can go anywhere. That is why we have monetary policy committee in place.
Right.
And I'm hoping that there will be a rethink of this unnecessary postponement of MPC by the central bank, and we're going to have at least a new a meeting of convergence where we discuss critical core economic conversation for the progress of our nation.
All right, definitely hoping we get a clear date before the end of this year to have that meeting generally for the new leadership. But there's another issue right now trending. There's a lot of attention now on subnational spending. That's for states. Lagos State has been, trending recently on some of its public procurement from some unusual sums spent on, usual items, and definitely, if it's true, some of these procurements we're seeing. Tell us how this is going to impact the economy, going forward. What does this kind of spending tell us about where the states are heading and the country?
Well, the truth is that today we are seeing a relatively improved Nigeria in terms of holding leaders accountable. Before now, all attention has been on federal government, but subnational must know that they play significant role in our economy. There are spendings that are worrisome to the citizens. If chief executive of state are convinced, it's important for them to engage the people. And I've seen credible platforms such as these have started asking questions so that citizens can have information. I've seen some of the items on the list for different states that particularly some of us are not convinced that those amounts of money should be there. But how do we criticize when at the federal level we have legislature in the wake of hunger deprivation for Nigerians, all Nigerians, I beg your pardon. Now we have vehicles going for 168 million naira per legislature. If you now flip the table and go to the state, what we have even seen is over 400 million on a vehicle. Can we discuss how many number of toilets that can provide? Because when you look at real poverty, it is people who don't have access to toilets, people who don't have access to water. How many borehole can we dig with 400 million? And when you put some of these monies together, you see that perhaps the enemies of Nigeria is enemy within. If we can truly solve our problem by looking above just personal protection of our politicians and looking at how we will truly solve the problem of hunger, deprivation, and neglect among our people, then our country will be a safe place to be. Well, when people are hungry, they said, an hungry man is an angry man. And the only place he wants to work is the devil's workshop. In that workshop, there are no hoes and cutlass. There are machetes, there are weapons. So how do we take our people to be unemployed from devil's workshop and be employed in the proper sector? It lies in those who owns economic needs and who are the real decision makers to liberate our economy, to liberate our country, and to take our people from deprivation. There are some items that even the conscience of a man cannot accept in the reality of what we are going through today. I am hopeful that the state concerned, I don't want to mention their names are all over the front pages of newspaper yesterday, and some papers may even have reported those today. And I know that some of these governors, there have been concerns like this in the past, and they recall, they call themselves to order, they review some of the activity, apologize to public, and rebalance their figures. I'm hopeful that that those governors will do the needful. And I must also appreciate that organization that brought this to the fore for Nigeria to see what is happening to the budget of Subnational. It is not very common. What we have seen most of the time is that all attention is on federal government. Anytime we do that, we are carrying the load of Nigeria on a man who is standing on one leg. It's important Subnational who take critical control of our economic resource understand that if there is poverty in Nigeria, they share in part of the blame. If there is hunger in the country, they share in part of the blame. If there is prosperity, they share in part of the praise. Therefore, for every 1 naira that goes to state, either through FAC or through internet generated revenue, it must be spent on where we can see further productivity, growth in our country, more employment, support for private sector, increasing other revenue, and expansion, of course, of the state and prosperity of Nigeria. But to want to spend it as personal aggrandizement and unexplainable expenditure, now that we are being told to tighten our belt, now that in a public broadcast, the president said he understands that we are going through pain. I want to believe the chief executive of state also understand the truth the president know that Nigerians are going through pain and align with him in cutting some of the costs and also putting the money where it matters, because failure to do so will mean that an hungry man may truly get an employment in devil's workshop. I don't pray for that. I hope that the needful will be done in the coming period.
Yeah, we definitely do not pray for that. And, we've had this long-standing debate, about Nigeria's problem right now. Some say it's a revenue problem. Some say it's a spending problem. With what we've seen so far, before I let you go, what do you think it is?
Well, the real problem we have is priority problem. We need to prioritize. We cannot put those who cannot generate revenue or not convinced to generate revenue to office, and we expect we have the money. So we have problem on all sides. If you reduce it to revenue problem or spending problem, we have spending problem. There are more monies we cannot spend. Again, we also need to boost revenue at the same time. There is no error. There is no mistake. There is no wrong theory in economics that said you cannot reduce expenditure and improve revenue. In fact, there are 3 options: reduce expenditure, leave revenue; improve revenue, leave expenditure; and the third one, increase revenue, reduce unnecessary expenditure. That is my own option. There are some expenditure that are not necessary, expenses that are not necessary. We need to reprioritize them and put them in key areas that will help to development of the state and federal government and our federation, I beg your pardon. And more importantly, there are revenues that could be made up to 20 or 30 trillion naira for federal government alone, and between 30 to 40 trillion naira to be shared among the 37 subnationals, including the FCT. Permit me to use FCT as a subnational. It is until we are able to tap into this money and spend them directly in the life of our people that the angel of economic miracle can smile on us as a nation. Other than that, we may still have some social vices because of economic resource scarcity that has bedeviled our people. So if you ask me again, I would say it's important for us to allow our people have access to these resources, reduce unnecessary expenditure, boost revenue, then we can take our country to the place that we truly want it to be. Other than that, we may still be wallowing in this poverty and economic quagmire that we're experiencing today.
All right, well said. Cut out unnecessary expenditure. Thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Paul Olaje, Senior Economist, SPM Professionals. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, Commodities Market Update is next. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Let's get a check on the commodities market now. We have Oluwatomi Maiwa, analyst of financial derivatives company, senior analyst. Great to have you on the show.
Good morning, Ladi. Thank you very much for having me.
Good morning. So yeah, it's all about the recent postponement of the MPC meeting. How's FDC reading this?
I would like to actually explain this in the context of what the MPC does and who the MPC is and what they do. First of all, the MPC is actually an independent arm of the CBN that formulates the monetary policy of the country with the primarily with certain economic objective, which actually include price stability. The MPC actually include certain 3 members and also some independently appointed members of from the business and the economic sector. So what have we seen recently? First of all, CBN leadership, and there have been some changes, some policy changes recently, with regards to an exchange rate and all of those things. And however, the MPC 2 times in 5 months, and that is actually a bad signal for the market. First of all, it would actually foster speculation in the markets, and will actually also support volatility in the markets, because we are in a situation whereby like I said, the MPC actually come together to to debate on various and what the monetary policy would their decision would to economic events. So we've seen inflation move to about close to 30%. Supply growth on a year-on-year basis is about 36%, and then we're also seeing exchange rates trade by about 1,000, almost close to 100, even in the exchange rate market. And all of those things signal that do not need this kind of uncertainty in this time. There'll be clear policy direction as to what the monetary policy wants to do. Price stability. So, not having to meet like 2 times without any specific reason, and then not even giving a time when they are going to meet, is a bad signal for investors. A time whereby we need foreign investors to bring in money into Nigeria. So all of these things would actually fuel speculation in the market. Like, for example, we saw the exchange rate actually at the parallel market to about 1,140 from about 1,037. And we also saw the prices actually decline. Even though we know that if the meeting had happened, would everybody actually expect they would raise interest rates because of the current price level, the increase in inflationary, that would actually push down stock market prices. But as a result of the uncertainty, it's also even worsening market sentiment, because the monetary policy stance is, if we calculate, we need a clear policy direction. We know that this is what they might do, but doing it makes it clearer as to what the monetary policy stance is with regards to the price level in Nigeria. So that's basically our view for what has happened.
And looking at the FX market at this time, do you think this will make the speculators go short on the naira?
Like uncertainty is actually the mother of speculation. Feel volatility. So because there is no clear policy direction as to what the CBN is going to do, especially with regards to price stability and also exchange rate management, that can actually fuel. We could see people beginning to buy dollars, because don't forget that the inflation, the increase in price level actually reduces the value of the currency. That factor is already there. But once there's a direct the monetary policy in terms of raising interest rates, that actually boosts the value of the. So that gives a support that the monetary policy is ready to they are committed with regards to ensuring stability in prices and then in the exchange rate. So, but we've not that the meeting has not held, and there's no clear policy direction, and so people, like you said, would feel speculation, and definitely we would see demand pressure market, leading to a depreciation in the naira actually.
Right. What are you seeing for the oil market at this time?
So we saw oil price actually increase yesterday as a result of expectation. The OPEC is actually going to extend their cuts, and we saw that actually, we saw the oil prices then again this morning on demand concerns. I would like, it's clear that there's only the OPEC can do now with regards to prices in terms of reducing supply. Why? Because the demand dynamics is global demand is actually low, which has actually the interest rate hikes, which has interest rate hikes that has lowered consumer demand. So and we're also seeing China, we are saying that economic recovery in China is quite weak, and that is actually supporting the sentiment in the market. So that there's only so much OPEC can do with their tool on oil prices. So we see initial G3 in the market, but the long term we are seeing that prices stay around $80 per barrel, and that's not so good for Nigeria, because prices are we need at about $105 dollar per barrel to break even, and so our oil production in Nigeria is we are not yet close to OPEC quota. So it's in a time where we're actually struggling to earn dollars into Nigeria.
Right.
So it's not so good for Nigeria. The picture is not so clear for good Nigeria in terms of external earnings. And also we're also seeing that cocoa prices in Nigeria, they are requesting for a regulatory body for cocoa, for the cocoa industry. And it's good to say that historically, when you look at what has happened in the past with regulatory body in the cocoa industry, we've seen that they ensure that the cocoa pods are actually traded in good quality, and then they also ensure that the farmers are protected from adverse decline in global price of cocoa. And so bringing that in now would, but however, over time we've seen that they've not, that in terms of prices is quite, they sell to the multinationals at higher prices, whereas the farmer sells it to them at lower prices. So that has actually caused some distortion in the market. So bringing that in now is actually not so good. Whereas it's good to work on the process, the cocoa value chain, to ensure that cocoa is well processed and ensure that the Nigeria earns about 40% of the processing chain.
All right, Maya.
I think that's much more important, in the global market.
All right, Maya. We'll keep tracking those markets. Thank you so much for the update.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we have other markets coming up. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Well, financial services company Coronations Group has made history participating in the 805th procession of the prestigious Lord Mayor's Show in London, also collaborating with Lagos State Government and Enterprise NGR as a platinum sponsor. Let's hear more now from Ike Bohiose, Ike Imokwede, MD Coronation Asset Management. Join us via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Laddie. It's good to be here.
So what inspired Coronation Group Limited to assume the role of platinum sponsor for the Lagos State Enterprise NGR in this participation in the 805th procession of the esteemed Lord Mayor's show. And maybe you can give us a brief summary about this Lord Mayor's show.
All right, so the Lord Mayor's show, as you rightly said, it's an over 800 years tradition of the Lord Mayor, which is not the Mayor of London, but the Lord Mayor of the Financial District of London, who is elected into the position, and he has this great position. Now, the Lord Mayor's show really is about the business district, the financial district of London, and I guess you can say the United Kingdom. And they have this procession of every year that holds the guilds, which is the liveries. I don't want to go too deeply into that, of the people who have created the economy of London since it became London, basically. And from that, you can understand why we were inspired to, Coronation Group was inspired to join Enterprise NGR and the Lagos State government. We are a leading African financial services group. We recognize the transformative potential of this collaboration. Our motivation stems from the shared vision to showcase Nigeria as a global financial powerhouse and to foster the economic growth, innovation, and international collaborations within the African financial landscape. You can take a cue from Dubai and Singapore, and you can understand what we're doing. So this sponsorship, it exemplifies our commitment to positioning Lagos State, and by extension Nigeria, as the premier financial hub on the global stage, reinforcing our dedication to sustainable development and nurturing strategic partnerships for the economic prosperity of the country.
And this is the first time, Africa is participating at this event. How does this partnership, benefit Nigeria's financial and professional services sector?
Okay, so this the collaboration allows us to spotlight Nigeria's financial and professional services sector to a global audience, demonstrating our expertise, our innovation, our innovative solutions, our achievements, our prospects in various economic sectors. You know what we are. We know what Nigerians are, and it enhances our country's image as an investment destination, attracting the potential investors and fostering the growth within the key sectors. Basically, this will support what the country is doing now as itself.
And how do you view the importance of global partnerships like this to Africa's development, particularly in the financial sector?
All right, so global partnerships are crucial to Africa's achievement and economic advancement. All right, so they bring in diverse expertise, resources and opportunities, collaborations, partnerships, and foster innovation and growth. By collaborating with international entities, we can then create an interconnected financial landscape, enhancing competitiveness, attracting significant investments. We could also create channels to exchange solutions, for the challenges that we face as a country, and we are currently facing as a country.
Talk to me about the specific initiatives in Coronation Group's limited planning, during this Lord Mayor's show.
All right, so look, there's a lot of value to be created for not just Lagos, but for Nigeria from an infrastructure perspective. There's a lot of value to be created for bringing in investments into Nigeria. And so there are lots of benefits that we can expect from foreign investors coming in to Nigeria. We expect that welcoming business environment to access the largest market on the continent of a highly skilled workforce and strategic location of the heart of Africa. Coronation Group, we are committed to providing investors access to rewarding investment opportunities through our capital markets business, which includes Coronation Asset Management, specialized banking and trade solutions through Coronation Merchant Bank, and superior risk protection services through Coronation Insurance and Coronation Life Assurance. We also have the venture capital, venture building businesses, the private equity business, And basically, there's a lot of value that the Coronation Group and its affiliates will bring to this partnership.
Yeah, right now we know our president is touring, different countries, trying to attract investors at this time. Currently, he's at Berlin. But what benefits can, investors, both local and international, anticipate from the Lord Mayor's show?
Okay, so I don't want to go into specifics. We were opportune to be in a few of the meetings with certain trade groups and the City of London, as well as the Lord Mayor himself. So I won't go into specifics. That will be for the Lagos State government and the LFIC, which is the International Financial Center, Lagos International Financial Center. But basically, there's a lot of collaboration that is going to happen. There's not just from financial services sector, but also there's a lot of portraying us in London. And of course, you know that London is really is the true financial hub of Europe. And so there's a lot of value of cross relationships for our financial services, as well as advancing our financial services into Europe through London. And actually, not just into Europe, into the world through London. So we're going to have a lot of partnership agreements going on, I believe. I believe that we're going to have a lot of collaborations, and you're going to see a lot of exciting things that the LIFC, and the Lord Mayor's are going the Lord Mayor's partnership.
Right, so much to look out for. But looking at Coronation Group now, what are we expecting in 2024? What new innovations should we be looking forward to?
All right, so in 2024, let me just give you from my own part of the business. We are launching an infrastructure fund. You know that you cannot do enough around infrastructure for Nigeria. We are launching an infrastructure fund. But then also, let me just say that what Coronation is doing is we are trying to democratize access to wealth and wealth creation, so that it encompasses, it can drive the creative entrepreneurial spirit of Nigerians. And so in 2024, we are going to do a lot of this, creating value for the economy, creating value for the country, creating value for our citizenry. So we'll see a lot of collaborations between Coronation and a lot of things that are going to be happening in Nigeria from the perspective of the new government. We're going to work primarily with Lagos State government and, of course, collectively with Nigeria to help to achieve the success that this regime is seeking for.
Pick your brain now, looking at the economic headwinds, right now, how hard is it, to still go about creating wealth at this time? How hard is it becoming, for companies like you?
Look, the reality on ground is that we have what we have. The country is our country. All right, and there's a lot of opportunities within our country. I can't remember the lady who was just speaking now spoke to a lot of things that are happening. But then you can see that if you have the right partners and you have the right advice, you can get along. With Coronation, we are not just looking at advancing you from a wealth perspective. We're looking at we have the insurance business, which creates risk around what you do. So we protect you as well as help you grow your wealth. There are opportunities for, we've got commodities sector, we've got tech sector. We've got so many places in so many industries in Nigeria, sectors in Nigeria that are growing and are room for growth. And the businesses, the entities within Coronation are here to support these opportunities, and we will grow them. So when you speak to growth, there's a lot of work being done by the SEC the Securities and Exchange Commission, the NGX, and the other exchanges, FMDQ, around creating access, creating value. There's so much that value to be driven from capital markets. We are a capital markets holding company, and we are going to create value with these partners to ensure that the citizenry of Nigeria enjoy full value.
Right, we'll definitely be looking forward to that. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Mr. Abobese Ayegemokwede, MD, Coronation Asset Management. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, now talking about wealth creation, let's take a look at what happened with local bourse yesterday. Will has that detail. Seems like deja vu from last week, kicking off the week in the red.
Yeah, good morning, Laddie. Yes, well, the equities market started in the red, and he's talking about wealth creation. Some people made money yesterday. Some people cashed out.
Right.
So that's why the market dropped.
Yeah.
Some people sold off to profit.
Yeah.
You know, so some people rebalance their portfolios. So, you know, positioning themselves for better yields or better dividends or better returns. So let's say the market is, you know, is a ever-moving cycle, and then it won't stop because it's just rolling there. You just have to join in and find a good spot for yourself. So that's how you create wealth. And so I did mention the equities market starting off on a negative note, and it was driven by sell pressure on Stanbic IBTC. The stock price dropped yesterday 7.1%. As a result, we saw the all-share index declining by 0.15% yesterday. Still at the 71,000 level, but we've seen the equity cap still at 39, but we lost about 57 billion naira yesterday. Month-to-date and year-to-date return is still doing well, though it moderated as expected, but still in positive territory. But we're going to bring in now Afolabi Benro, is equity sales trader with Stanbic IBTC stockbrokers, to share more insights as to what's happening in the market, why we're kicking off red, or if we'll continue in the red. Good morning, Afolabi. It's good to have you on the program.
Good morning, Will. Thank you for having me.
Great. Afolabi, markets traded in a lull yesterday, starting the week negative. Can you just get into, help us get into the mind of investors right now and tell us what the current sentiment is?
Okay, thanks for that question. So, like you mentioned, the market has had a very good run yet to date. We're up about 38.55%. Typically at this time of the year, the last quarter of the year, investors tend to slow down a little bit. Most of the results are out. The market has digested most of those results and reacted to them appropriately. Any dividends that had been paid, some of them might have been reinvested. So we're at the point in time where right now investors are just basically looking for opportunities to take positions ahead of next year, looking at quality names, looking at if any prices are attractive, and if any opportunities arise in terms of profit taking as well. Investors tend to just do that. So we'll expect to see this trend continue basically between now and the rest of the year, except there's any catalyst that comes up in the markets.
Okay, we did see that catalyst yesterday, the central bank postponing the MPC meeting for the second time. Now, what impact do you think it's going to have on investments and the economy in general?
Okay, so looking at that decision, if you look at the way the market performed yesterday, it was still very quiet, even though that announcement was made. So like I mentioned, we expect to see the market continue in this kind of trend. At the point where the MPC is held and maybe any outcomes are raised, the markets would look at those outcomes and react appropriately in line with those outcomes. But between now and then, we expect the market to continue in this same vein.
Okay, so one word, tell me, is it going to be bullish or bearish today? Because I'm looking forward to a positive close.
I'd like it to be bullish. It's looking quiet at the start, but that's usually the way the market starts. It starts up quiet, and then as the session goes on, we start to see more and more activities pick up. So we expect to see that same trend again today.
We'll definitely dig deep into the intraday trading at 1:30 p.m. Business Incorporated to see what's happening then, if the market is still in red or green. Thank you so much, Afolabi Benro, equity sales trader, Stanbic IBTC stockbrokers.
Thank you for having me.
So, Laddie, right now market is quiet, so let's see what intraday gives us.
Yeah, even though Will wants green, she's wearing red, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much. Will, for the details. Now, see, let's take a look at what's happening with other markets. Now, see, Bitcoin has remained stable and started a fresh increase above the 36,000 level. We see it climbed to about $37,000. Then we see right here $37,458 right now, starting this morning, 0.51%. We're seeing big pockets of red in the market, but BNB seems to be largely in the green right there, 5.37%. Look at the sentiment in the market right now. Let's take a look at it. Still quite a greedy market. If you look at these 71 points, still going deeper into greed, showing that traders really are having a fun right now in this market. Let's bring in Rume Ofi now, financial market analyst. Great to have you, Rume. Good morning. Yeah, so we got that news yesterday. We see Tether announced that it froze about $225 million worth of USDT, voluntarily, marking now this is the largest freeze in the history of, stable coins. So tell me, what does this tell us about the decentralization story of cryptocurrency?
Yeah, a lot of people think that they could do a whole lot and get away with it with cryptocurrencies. In this case, this stable coin was used for romance scam, more or less in our palace, Yahoo kind of thing, where there's a syndicate in South Asia, and these syndicates have been doing this for a while and moving all of this money. And Theta, in collaboration with OKX, worked together to make sure that these monies were frozen, which calls to mind that even though it has been said out there that crypto is anonymous in nature, doesn't give the right for people to do shady things with it. It's very transparent. That is, you can be tracked exactly and be arrested when the case is being brought to the law enforcement agents. The movement of money on-chain can be tracked with certain software and analytical tools. For example, Chainalysis is very big on that, and a couple of other analytical tool companies. They are going to track you, most especially with the fact that there's this travel rule. If you move the money from one exchange to another, that's a footprint, and those exchange platforms are going to bring in your details that's going to make them get you apprehended. So it makes a lot of sense for me, because the narrative out there is that crypto is being used by criminals to perpetrate selling things out there, but that is not the right perspective to things.
Right, that means you're going to be caught regardless, even though crypto is quite anonymous at this time. But before I let you go, now real quick, we know it's a bullish market right now. What are you seeing for fees on Ethereum and Bitcoin network right now? Are they rising?
We'll be seeing a few things up and down, but we just got the news earlier today and also late yesterday. Kakeno has been sued by the Security and Exchange Commission for operating on a security exchange that is unregistered. Yesterday, a report came in that Binance US has been reportedly fined by $4 billion. So all of these issues are here. There's still more coming. But people have been excited because of the ETF, most especially, could bring in some really good narrative to make price go up. But it's not sustainable as far as I'm concerned for now.
Right, definitely. We'll keep tracking the market. Some are expecting some kind of top at maybe about 40,000, but who knows if it's going to get there. Thank you so much, Rume Ofi, financial market analyst.
Thank you, Ladi.
All right, so yeah, that's how the market is looking today. Still a greedy market, but we're seeing a bit of pullback with some altcoins at this time. That's the show today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to join us at 1:30 for Business Incorporated for more updates and developments in the world of business. And you can get more details on www.channelcv.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Have a profitable day.